The Security Council is expected to receive a briefing from the United Nations Special Representative on the Democratic Republic of Congo and head of MONUSCO, Leila Zirogu. Now, for more on the situation in the Congo, we're now joined by Vava Tampa, who is the Congolese and the founder of Save the Congo, a London-based campaign for human rights in the Democratic Republic of Congo. A very good evening to you, Mr. Tampa. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, one would have thought that fielding a unity candidate to oust the party of President Joseph Kabila was the best move for the opposition, but it's certainly not the case.
Well, there is both ways to look at the situation. Yes, it was the best move. But at the same time, the fact remains that even if Jesus was the single candidate for the opposition against Kabila and his people, Jesus would not stand a chance because Mr. Kabila is dead set on ensuring that his cousin and former Interior Minister, Ramazani Shadari, wins the next elections. So there is both way of looking at the situation. I'm disappointed, of course, given what has happened over the past 2 days. But at the same time, I recognize that even Jesus himself would not have had a chance.
Indulge us, if you can, Mr. Tampa, as to how you think they arrived at the decision of selecting Mr. Martin Fayulu, to be the candidate to oust the party of President Joseph Kabila. I mean, one would have thought that the UDPS, being the biggest opposition party in the history of the DRC, Mr. Tshisekedi would then get automatic entry as a field candidate, to oust to contest the polls. Why do you think they arrived at the decision to elect Mr. Fayulu, and who is he?
Well, truth be told, all of us, we went into that agreement assuming that Felix Tshisekedi would be the candidate. For one reason, UDPS, as you said, is the largest political party in Congo, without a question. But there were elections. They voted amongst themselves. There were 7 of them, 7 leading opposition figures in Congo, and 4 of them voted for Martin Fayulu. And Felix Tshisekedi received 2 votes. And another guy, Vital Kamerhe, only voted for himself, so he received 1 single vote. And on that basis, Martin Fayulu should have gone ahead and lead a common front against Mr. Kabila. If the election is free, fair, and transparent, he would have had a better chance of winning. But clearly, over the past 2 days, that deal has collapsed, and it has collapsed because of something which my people, the Congolese people, are calling in Lingala as Ibongai, which essentially translates in English as in, without it, either it's me or nothing else. And that is because of something else which I call in Lingala Buzoba, clownness. So while you are seeing, essentially, you're seeing the entire opposition parties in Congo collapsing into pieces because many of them are simply not mature enough to advance the goodness of the country rather than their own position in the future government.
Do you think the increasing fragmentation of the opposition movement will give Mr. Kabila's party the competitive edge, and they're going to have it easy at the polls?
Well, look, fact be told again, I mean, this election, as we said from the onset, our position remains the same, which is the best way forward is to have a civilian transition without Mr. Kabila, his camp, or any opposition figure, a transition of technocrats led by Denis Mukwege, who, by the way, won the Nobel Peace Prize. And that transition then should go on to organize elections that would be free, fair, transparent, and inclusive. The election in December, everyone knows we are heading into a catastrophe. Everyone understands Mr. Kabila is going to cheat, is going to ensure that his cousin, Emmanuel Shadari, wins the elections, because without that, he understands that he would end up at the ICC for crimes committed against the people. And we also know that if Felix Tshisekedi, UDPS, or any opposition party for that matter goes to that election, it's going to lead into more people dying, more people being killed. This is why, and I cannot insist enough on this, this is what we are calling on South Africa, President Ramaphosa, and Angola, President Lourenço, and President Masisi in Botswana, all of them, we are calling on them that SADC should impose a civilian transition without Kabila, without any opposition, without any politician for that matter, a transition led by Mukwege to organize election that would be free, fair, and transparent. It's the best way, or else we are going to lose hundreds of thousands more people, and the Congolese people would be condemned into a crisis for another 5 years under the Kabila reign.
Are you at all concerned that Congolese matters discussing their future are being discussed in countries such as Switzerland?
Well, that essentially goes to show the political mindset of our political figures, that they chose. At least they chose. We have to give them credit. They chose to go to a neutral country. They could have easily gone to Brussels or Paris for that matter, or come to London. So those are the realities of the matter. But at the same time as well, we need to recognize that Congo has been in a crisis for such a long time. Myself and my family, we are in the UK because we came to this country as refugees, as asylum seekers, fleeing the humanitarian crisis in that country, fleeing the conflict and the wars. So the Congolese people are dispersed across the world because of this crisis. And this is a crisis that has killed over 5.4 million Congolese in a space of 10 years, the first 10 years of the conflict. And Mr. Kabila has seen the killings of those people. Recently in Kasai, we have seen Mr. Shadari. In fact, he was the interior minister at the time. We have seen him essentially killing hundreds, thousands of people and displacing 1.5 million people. And among the thousands of people that were killed, those include 2 UN experts, 1 American and 1 Swedish. So we are in a situation which it's not only critical for the Congolese people, but it's also critical for the entire African continent, for the entire SADC.
Make me understand though, what could have possibly necessitated the move to be discussing such crucial matters in a foreign land? Are we seeing a cloud of fear being perpetuated, a cloud of intimidation being perpetuated in the DRC ahead of the elections?
Well, what is factual is they could not have done it in Congo. It would have been impossible. Mr. Kabila would not have allowed it. They did their first meeting in South Africa. We were expecting them to meet again in South Africa, but for reasons perhaps logistical reasons, because some of the political figures might not have had the possibility to go to South Africa, they chose to meet in a neutral country, which is Geneva. It's disappointing. I would have preferred it to happen either in South Africa or at least in Angola, which we are, historically speaking, one people, one country, one kingdom. But they went to Geneva. But that issue on itself is not as crucial as what is going to happen in Congo this December 23rd. And this is the time in which all of us, African, South African, Angolan, SADC particularly, I want SADC to act the ways in which you saw ECOWAS acting in West Africa. I want SADC to lead the charge. I want South Africa, I want Angola, Botswana, Namibia, essentially to say to Kabila, mate, you've had your time, you have killed enough, it's time to go. The Congolese people need to be set free. And on this situation, we are not asking for so much. We have a whole plan ourselves. We simply refuse to take guns to overthrow Kabila. We want to do it peacefully. And what we are asking SADC to do is simply to come in and impose a civilian transition led by Mukwege so that our people can be free and organize a free and fair and transparent and inclusive elections.
Yeah, so many people have been killed already, and we can't afford to see more deaths in the DRC. And just what's the possibility of instability breaking out beyond this crucial election?
Oh, God, the possibilities are huge. I mean, your viewers would know, as things stand, Congo already has the highest number of displaced people in Africa. We are talking about 4.5 million people. And as your viewer would also know that Congo, as things stand, has 7.5 million people essentially living on food aid. That is 10% of their populations. Now imagine with all of that, given the humanitarian crisis in that country, given that you have Ebola spreading in the eastern of the country, given all the killings that we have seen, over 5.4 million Congolese killed in a space of 10 years, 1998 to 2008, given all of that, with the anger that people have, if nothing is done, we are facing a crisis that would overwhelm not only Congo, it would also overwhelm Angola, Tanzania, Zambia, and many other countries. And the more, I mean, South African soldiers have died fighting for peace in Congo, building peace and statehood in Congo. We simply cannot allow one single man, Joseph Kabila, to ruin it. And it has taken us 20 years to build this peace and this stability to this point. And for South Africa, for SADC, you know, Zimbabwean soldiers equally have died. Namibian soldiers equally have died in Congo for peace in Congo to save Congolese lives. And to allow Kabila to essentially ruin all of that and to continue to kill, it's unacceptable. We simply cannot allow it. And what the Congolese people are saying, and I'm saying this because I've spoken to civil society organizations, there are hundreds, nearly 200 civil society saying the best way forward is civilian transition without politicians, led by Mukwege, imposed by SADC. That's the way forward, and we are hoping the world will come to our rescue.
Indeed, Mr. Tampa, thank you so much for your valuable insight. Much appreciated. Thank you for your time. There is Vava Tampa. He is, of course, he's Congolese and a founder of Save the Congo, a London-based campaign for human rights in the DRC.